Think of the void like preparation for what's next. I think maybe seeming to happen, but energetically, it's all happening. Welcome to the Miracle Frequency Podcast. Today, I want to talk about navigating the void. A lot of people talk about the void, going through this void like it's a bad thing, or like you need to sort of, somehow it's like you come out the other side of it. But the way I look at what people call the void is it's energetically, it's sort of a space between timelines, but it's the unknown. Ultimately, it's the unknown, right? It is the unknown. Yes, it's a space between timelines, but we are always in the space between timelines, right? So your mind seeks, your personal mind seeks security, safety, assurance of what's going to happen. And so being in a space of not knowing is uncomfortable for the mind. But it's not a space we actually want to move out of. It's a space we want to be more comfortable with, right? So it's about surrendering to the unknown, to allowing things to unfold. This follows on from the last episode talking about surrendered manifestation. When you're in this void, it can feel like you don't know what's happening, right? It can be sort of a stillness or a numbness, or feel like things just aren't moving. Maybe it doesn't feel like there's any signs from the universe, right? It just feels like you're in this holding pattern, questioning like what's happening, is it working, like what's going on? But this is the space this is your opportunity to trust, embody even deeper the knowing that everything is okay, that you are okay, that you are pure consciousness, and that nothing inherently holds any meaning, right? It's the meaning you attach to it. And this was certainly something that helped me through the last couple of years when, I was sort of working these sort of jobs that were nothing like what I had wanted or expected, sort of going through the motions, but I just kept coming back to presence, being still, being present in the moment. And whenever we come back to this present moment, back to the stillness, everything is perfect, everything is fine, there's nothing to worry about. Right? It's only when our mind starts to run out to the future that it starts to create sort of fears or worries. There's so much beauty in this present moment. And so when people talk about the void, this is a space I want you to get comfortable with, right? This space where things are unknown, right? Maybe it feels like you're in between things. Maybe one thing is falling apart and you're not sure what's next. This is the moment to come within even deeper, come into whatever practices you might have, whatever tools you might have to embody the frequency of your highest timeline even more, and know and practice that knowing that everything is unfolding for you. Everything is unfolding for you, right? In every moment, you will be shown. You will be shown. So it's this opportunity to recalibrate your frequency to the new reality that you're moving into, to burn away attachments, right? Any attachments to the past, and deeply strengthen that trust in the unknown, right? This is the space where quantum shifts can happen, but the logical mind is going to fight for certainty and clarity, right? That's what it wants. But the unknown is not about that, right? So we need to be able to strip away the need for proof before the belief that everything is unfolding. Think of the void like preparation for what's next, right? Nothing may be seeming to happen, but energetically it's all happening, right? So we don't want to try and escape the void and fix it. We want to fully embody it and deepen our trust. So I want to share a story. I did share it in part of it in my last episode of the Soul Line Business Babes, but I had been working for a retail organization, helping them wrap up their e-commerce business. And I was coming to this place where that work was wrapping up. Like, it was literally the last week and the work was going to wrap up, and I didn't sort of have a stable ongoing income beyond that, right? So it was literally the last week, and I had known that it was going to wrap up. And it's, there was a few times where I occasionally got on LinkedIn or whatever and sort of had a bit of a look at other roles or things. But there was a deeper knowing in me. Like I really didn't want to do that. I just did not want to do that. And I just felt this deep knowing, because this had been what I had been practicing and embodying, that everything would unfold for me. And that if I was meant to find a role on LinkedIn, I would find a role on LinkedIn. But if not, something else would come into my awareness and lead me to the next opportunity, because things are always happening for us and we are always being led. So when we trust that, when we fully trust that, there's no need to try and make it happen. The me of a couple of years ago absolutely would have been panicking, worried, what's going to happen, and trying to find a job. And I probably would have, but it would not have taken me to what I call my highest timeline, where you allow things to unfold. So I was in this place of deep embodiment, surrender, trust. I knew that I was being led. I knew that things would unfold. And this one morning, I just got this little idea, send this person an email. It's someone that had been in touch with me months before about a coaching role, and I just emailed them. They got back to me straight away. They didn't have a coaching role, but they had a general management role for this e-commerce business and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we don't need to go into exactly what it was, but it sounded perfect. It was so I'd done general management before I got into my own coaching. It was completely remote, part-time, in my own hours, creative, room for expansion. It just sounded perfect, because the intention that I had sort of set with the universe, the loose intention that I had sent out there, it was, wouldn't it be fantastic to have a stable income so that I could regrow my business in just a way that felt expansive and there was no pressure on that business, right? So wouldn't it be great to have a stable, source of income so I could regrow my business in a way that just felt good to me without any pressure of having to monitor, any financial pressure. And so the universe delivered, right? That was on a Wednesday. Like I said, the other role was wrapping up at the end of that week, and I had an interview that afternoon, had a second interview the next day, and by the Friday I had the role. And the thing about this whole unfolding was that, on the Friday, I was having dinner with a friend, and I just had this knowing, and I'll talk about this more on the podcast too, this knowing that I had the role and that we would be out celebrating it that night. So what I was actually doing is I was able to sense, what you might call the future, but really it's just another moment of now. I was able to sense the future, and I knew that would be happening. I knew we'd be out celebrating. There was no wishing and hoping for it to be done. I was really unattached to it. I really didn't bother me if we would be out celebrating or not. But I just had this deep knowing. It's like knowing my hair's blonde, right? It's like knowing that I'm female. I have this knowing that we would be out celebrating. And I sent the owner of the business an email that Friday morning saying, great to meet you. Let me know if you need anything else, blah, blah, blah. She quickly replied, thanks so much. I won't be making a decision today. I'll let you know after the weekend. I still had this knowing that we would be out celebrating tonight. I had just been told, I will not tell you today, but I still had this knowing that we would be out celebrating that night. And within a couple of hours, I received another email to say, you've got the job. So this is how things unfold, right? When we completely trust the unknown, we are led in such magical ways. And as we do this more and more and more and live in this space, live in this void where it is the unknown and we don't know what's unfolding, when that becomes a comfortable space, you build that trust that things are unfolding for you. And it doesn't have to be on your timeline. It doesn't have to be in a certain way. When you allow the universe to deliver, it does, and in a magical, magical way. I mean, that was the ultimate perfect timing, the ultimate perfect role for me at that time. It delivered exactly what I want. So here's the key things that I wanted. And this is what I want you to understand. And I talked about this in Surrendered Manifestation. I wanted freedom. I wanted flexibility, right? I just wanted a stable income, something that I could, enjoy doing, that would allow me the time, the space, the freedom to work on other things. And it did that. I didn't say it had to be doing anything in particular. I was completely open, completely open to what it looked like. I didn't put any other sort of, contingencies on it. It was just, wouldn't it be fantastic to have a stable source of income that still gives me incredible flexibility and freedom to do what I want? And it was delivered, right? It was delivered because there was no resistance to that. It was a very clear, pure intention. And then I completely trusted and stayed in this unknown space, in this void. So when you feel like you're going through a space where you don't know what's happening, celebrate that, because anytime you know exactly what's happening, you are being guided by the mind. Allow yourself to be led. Allow yourself to be led by this higher part of you. It will unfold. So the key thing here is to be able to release the fears, the doubts, the insecurities that come up. And these come up daily. So this is another thing that, we can feel like we need to be on this big healing journey to release everything. But in actual fact, a daily life shows us exactly what we need to release in the moment, right? Every day when we are being triggered, when emotions are coming up, when things are coming into our, atmosphere, any sort of inner disturbance, as I call it, any sort of inner disturbance, that is your chance to let it go. That is your chance to let it go in the moment, right? And I have a program called Purify. I'll put the link in the show notes. It shows you how to do this in real time. So because your life is already showing you what to let go of. So when you can be in this place of presence, acceptance, right? Acceptance of the now, acceptance of what is happening, and you have a deep knowing and trust that you are source. It is guiding you. Your higher self has your back. It's leading you. When you know that, right? When you know that, you're able to remain in this void, be present, and almost get excited about what's unfolding, right? What's unfolding. So it's not, think about it this way. A lot of people fear, and I used to really have a hard time giving up control. And I know, there's a lot of you out there that are control freaks as well, so I get it. But it's not giving up control, it's giving over control to the highest part of you, right? The highest part of you is source energy, it is this divinity, and it knows exactly what you want. And it's always leading you there. It's just, you got to get yourself out of the way and allow it to unfold as it's going to unfold, right? So you need to be able to make peace with not knowing, and trust that everything will be okay. Everything is unfolding for your best and highest good. Now, that doesn't mean, when I say that, it doesn't mean that it's all going to be rainbows and unicorn and sunshine, that, everything's going to feel perfect in that sense, because again, like what I said, is your mind is judging things. So let's say you go through a period which is a bit of a financial hardship, or a big relationship breaks down. It's not saying that you're not going to go through anything that's not challenging, but it's, like I said, it's our work to release the emotional attachment to it and to sort of purify that, to let that go, because it's our judgment of what that means. Just as I shared with a little story of the farmer, it's judging it, it's judging. When we believe that something bad is happening, we are judging it, right? So I'm sure you can look back now on a relationship that's fallen apart, that at the time you thought was the worst thing ever, and it was so hard and you didn't know how you're going to get through it. But then, surprisingly, or not so surprisingly, in hindsight, you realize you're better off, you found the love of your life, and you're much happier. And we can look back at many, many things on our life and see it that way. But what I would love for each and every one of you is that you could make peace in the moment that things are unfolding, and allow them to unfold without judgment, right? So lose a job. Okay, that's what's happening. I'm breathing, I'm trusting, I know that everything's unfolding for a reason, right? A relationship breaks down. Okay. Now, I'm not saying there aren't emotions that will come up. This is part of the process to let things go. But I promise you the only reason that you feel the inner disturbance is because of the meaning you're attaching to it. When you lose a job, the only reason you're upset is because you've attached these meanings that, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? Where is the money going to come from? How am I going to find another job? How am I going to support myself? Right? So yes, I understand that these are actual things that you need to take care of, but it's the belief that something else isn't going to come in its place to fill those needs. That's the part that you're upset about, right? That's the part you're upset about. I mean, if you lost a job, but then I turned around the next day and said, oh, here's your dream job that pays you 3 times more money, you wouldn't be upset about the old job, right? Not at all. You're only upset because of the meanings you've attached to it, right? Like I said, these feelings of, oh my God, uncertainty, how am I going to pay the bills, or whatever those things are. So the only reason you're feeling any inner disturbance, any sort of upset, is of the meaning you're attaching to what is happening. But if you could be like the farmer and say, we'll see, right? If you could be neutral in those moments, that is the secret to your highest timeline, right? That is the secret to this miracle frequency, is being neutral and allowing life to unfold through you without judging it. Like I said, my program Purify will help you to release those inner disturbances, release all those limitations, those fears that come up in the moment, so that you can be very present and in this neutral place and trusting the void, trusting the unknown. So I don't ever want you to move out of the void or out of the unknown and feel like you've got it all figured out. I want you to embrace the unknown and find peace in the unknown, and realize that your greatest joy and fulfillment and excitement in life will come from living in a comfortable place with the unknown. Make the unknown your best friend. Realize the unknown is your highest self, is source, your pure consciousness guiding you, right? Guiding you and leading you to the most joy. You know, it's something that I think I've always, even though I was never spiritual when I was younger, I feel like it's something that I always inherently knew this. Like, I remember when I was young, I mean, I got good grades, I went to university, and I was somewhat ambitious, but I remember some friends at the time that sort of had their whole life mapped out. You know, they had these goals of all the things that they wanted to achieve in their life and where they wanted to be by a certain age. And, you know, they sort of had it all mapped out. And I was just like, what? I was like, I mean, who knows what you're going to want to do in 2 years' time or 5 years' time? Who knows what's going to happen in life? Like, how can you possibly map out the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Like, I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows where you're going to be or what you're going to want to do? Like, why? I didn't even understand why you would do that. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to want to do in 5 years' time, and that's okay. Like, I've always inherently known that, I don't know, life would unfold. Things unfold for you. I think I've always inherently known that, but certainly in the last 2 years, I've been able to embody that. And like, let's be real, it doesn't mean that I don't sometimes fall back into places of fear or doubt. Of course that happens, but I'm able to, even as something triggers me or something rises within me, I'm able to breathe through it, release it, let it dissipate. Like I said, I've got processes to let it go. In the moment, and I'm much more aware. Like when I feel any triggers or feel any inner disturbance, I'm very consciously aware that that's happening, and that is my resistance and judgment of what is. If something is happening, it is happening for a reason, and so I always now am able to have trust in that, right? Have trust in that. So something that, you know, I used to be a very anxious person when things would happen, and, you know, I really used to be very scared of the unknown, a massive control freak. But now when things happen, like I said, sometimes I'll feel the inner disturbance, but I'll be able to let it go because I'm trusting. I know in a deep way now that everything is unfolding. So if something is falling apart that I hadn't expected, so it does come as a little shock, I'm able to go, okay, well, if this is what's happening, I trust that that's what's happening, right? There's got to be something else coming in its place, or it's happening for a reason, and I totally trust that. And I'm excited by that too. And I want you to be excited by that too. Living in the unknown. It's an exciting place. It's like, this is where the magic happens. This is where all the juicy magic happens. You're never going to know what things look like. The universe, your higher self, is going to bring you amazing things when you allow it to unfold. So shift into that place, allow it to make peace with the unknown.